The standard screams, been here before. It always happens. Images there of the ODPP, DCI, questions around accountability. We've been treated to scenes where governors, high-flying politicians have been arrested, some along with their spouses. These cases rarely get to see the light of day. Is this another instance where culpability is definitely, you can point to the direction, but nothing will happen? And that's the question we are asking. Bwana Maduku, let's start with you. We've seen ODM demanding accountability on one hand, the party leader, and they released a statement. But on the other hand, they insist within the same statement that those saying that the CSs who are clearly involved in even the correspondence leading to this should not be accused of anything. Surely, who will hold who accountable if, because of political patronage, some people should not be touched?
Fred, let me say this. If you want to import fuel into this country, there are various steps that you must undertake before a vessel docks and discharges product at the port of Mombasa. There are various committees that must sit. Fuel importation is 100% done by the Ministry of Energy. There's a committee where all players sit, including oil marketers, and agree on stocks that are going to be imported. Now, after that, there's a standards body, the Kenya Bureau of Standards, that must also test and confirm that this product meets the minimum standards that are required. It is not possible to import 60,000 metric tons of fuel into this country without various committees of all the players sitting and agreeing. And so from where I sit and with the knowledge I have, when you say that the MD Kenya Pipeline and the DG EPRA are capable, it is difficult to convince me. Mm-hmm. Where are the minutes of the meeting that approved the importation of this? Who sat in that meeting? Was approval granted, yes or no? The MD of Kenya Pipeline cannot just agree, or EPRA for that matter, and import a consignment. Where was the where was the testing of the Kenya Bureau of Standards? Where are the standards? What is the sulfuric level of this fuel? Mm-hmm. And is it normal? Is it a norm thing? And I can tell you, yes, it is. What normally happens sometimes, standards are a range between 1 and 5. Mm-hmm. You may import something out of the standard and come and commingle it. And we do that all the time. Even in the pipeline, when you pump fuel, you first pump diesel, and then the normal fuel and jet fuel. At the interface, that fuel is discharged into what we call a slop tank. Mm-hmm. And later on, it is commingled with other fuel to meet the standard. And that's why we have got technicians and chemical engineers who work in the Kenya Pipeline. So I know this matter is under investigation. But I think sometimes headlines just scream. Because unless we have all those minutes and all the approvals, then we cannot judge before we see the matter.
Okay. But the question is that the DCI were quick to arrest people who were forced to resign or resigned immediately after. There was claim that there was money somewhere. There's been so much discussion within the last 5 days about this, the criminal culpability of these 3 or 4 people. Yet there's so much evidence mentioning the CS, both CS Trade and CS Energy. Do you, the ODM party or the ODM party leader, to defend the CSs at this point?
Edimuri, in the onset, it is important to agree that we do not have to go for what we call sacrificial labs. And if you are serious to look to the depth of the matter and get the correct position. It's no way that we can pinpoint just 3 men out of a pool of the rest of the processes. And I beg to disagree completely that there is any single import of such magnitude that can step to the land of Kenya without the knowledge of the CS. And there is no way that the PS can be, yes, he's accounting officer, but there is nothing that can be done with the ministry without the approval of the CS himself. So in this case, I wonder, I have seen the CS cancelling that particular order and saying that one Jaffa has considered to withdraw. But my big question is, this fuel is nowhere in the FESO. It's already drained. People want to convince us that actually the fuel will be then drained from where storage it is back to the FESO? Or what does Waziri want us to believe? Because or he just want to create a drama so that he can cross our eyes that try to manage our massage to Kenyans that this particular fuel has been withdrawn from the market. Assume this fuel is already at the petrol stations. How will this fuel get back to the vessel that it brought the product here? Number 2 is that as much as we would like to say the 3 who were quickly arrested are the main key players of this. And this is, how do they want, is there an assumption that people want Kenyans to believe that this was brought as an illegal order and this was not known by the ministry? It was a cooked cartel by the few. But the answer is no, and a big no. And if the answer is yes, where was the CS to raise the red flag? Because he was the first man then to raise the red flag and tell Kenyans there is a cartel, there is a cocoon, and there is already fuel in the market which is illegal or which has entered into the country illegally. But his silent tells us he was aware and he understands all what happened until that's a point that he wants to convince Kenyans that he is now cancelling the same order. My big question is, who will bear the cost?
Yes.
Because if this particular order was a genuine order, who will bear the cost of the loss?
All right.
Yes.
There was clear indication that if at all this fuel was allowed to come into the country, then fuel prices would go up. And that is what they're saying, that is illegal. It was not done the right way. But the question is, in Kenya, if you arrest any individual, then you're supposed to present them before courts within 24 hours. This is 5 days later. Even the 3-4 gentlemen who've been arrested, they're still being interrogated. None has been taken before court. DCI confirmed none has taken plea yet. Do you believe, because the standard is questioning whether at the end of it someone will be held accountable, do you believe that we'll actually get to the bottom of this?
I told you in the Mulia, from what we are reading, they have a government-to-government deal where Kenyan government and the Emiratis have signed an agreement to deliver fuel at specific prices at certain times. In Kenya, we have a policy that we must have a minimum stock. Now, it happens that one of the deliveries was not made on time. And that created concern within the energy sector. And they decided, because this delivery has not been made on time, let us have a plan B. And this is what led to the importation of this fuel outside the government-to-government deal. That is what we are reading in the stories. Now, what I'm telling you, up to that point, there must have been 10, 20 meetings where virtually everyone sat. There must have been certain approvals, minted approvals. Now, obviously, if those approvals are presented to the DCI, then you cannot charge these three guys only. Don't forget, when you're a CEO, or when you're a minister for that matter, you rely on technical advice of your officers. And that is why CS Wandayi and CS Likinyanjui are clean on this matter, because they rely on their technical people. It is that advice that they get from the technical people that they relate to their industry. That is how government works. And so, as to whether anyone will be charged, it's possible. But as to whether there will be conviction, it is probably not possible. Because here you're talking of procedures. And I can assure you, you cannot import fuel without those.
So it's not necessarily criminality.
Yes,
it is just procedures that were probably not followed.
Yes, administrative action.
Now that the DCI is already on this, and the National Assembly, in its constitutional oversight, has a role over public procurement as well. Do you think that this, because Kenyans need answers to so many things, do you think that probably the National Assembly should take this over to clear the air, probably conduct a probe on its own?
I think it will be an excess in futility. The DCI is well equipped to undertake such probes. And matters of energy are very technical in nature. And so I probably would advise that we wait for the outcome of the probe by the DCI. Then based on the recommendation, now come and probably do further interrogation.
Okay.
But don't forget that they also used an existing legal channel, what we call emergency procurement, to have this done. And I can assure you there were certain approvals prior to that.
Okay. Yet there was a question of the 500 million shillings that is said to have been found in the houses, meaning that the DCI is probing some acts that are considered criminal in nature. When Amanduku says this is simply processes within government circles that may not necessarily lead to criminal culpability. Don't you agree that there are questions that could border on criminality?
Well, in fact, what I will not be able to stand to state here is the truth of the allegation that there was money the homes of the three arrested suspects. And if in case there was money, one has to justify why such big money was in his custody. But also don't forget that there is no illegality in our laws. Also to save money in your home. It's only that
hundreds of millions.
It's only that it is questionable having such a huge of money and at home. But remember, there is no single law that can criminalize you from having a stock of money in your home. But in this particular case, because it's a matter that is under investigation, and monies were found in the homes of these suspects, I think they have what you call ample time to justify the source of that money and the reason why they had to keep such big money in their homes. So that element has to be very clear. Number two, that money cannot be related to this particular saga. If this particular import of this particular fuel was genuine and passed the right channels of approvals, if that was the case, and all channels of approval were met, then to relate the two is not neither here nor there. Because for sure, if we are being told that the three connived and they made an import in the absence of the knowledge of the ministry.
And gained from it.
And gained out of it. Then we could straight be saying, you guys, you have criminally done it wrong. But today, things are that the process were made, minutes are there, and the approvals were officially made.
Because if you look
so here what we are fighting is only one factor, that why did you allow this? But remember, there was that cited gap, which we cannot be, as a layman, can be able to state. But that cited gap of that later life of the commodity from the main source made the ministry and the EPRA team to have a second opinion. Where can we find fuel enough to seal this gap, which is almost to come along? The question here could be, if the three suspects did this alone, without the knowledge of the ministry and those other bodies concerned, but if every other single bodies and minutes were done on the normal way, then you cannot pick a blame to few.
Yes. As you make your final comment, because what is on the dailies is what Kenyans consume. And the way it has been painted so far is that there's criminality. Someone has committed a crime somewhere. Even if it's an issue of process, a DCI investigation would rarely come out to explain to Kenyans what transpired. In fact, most of the time, DCI say they just hand over their files to ODPP, then ODPP pursues. They do not necessarily come out and explain to Kenyans. Weeks later, we are told the ODPP has withdrawn a case. For Kenyans to gain clarity, and that's why I was asking, do you see the necessity of the National Assembly in its oversight role over procurement in government? Don't you think that probably that kind of inquiry from the National Assembly would be able to put Kenyans' concerns to rest?
In fact, it demonstrates the importance of the invoking of Energy Committee to do their investigation is just to squarely preempt those gaps that actually the DCI is not giving us. They should tell us, yes, was there a corroboration of this whole process of order? And if there was a full knowledge of every single entity, then why should we take the blame to few? Mm-hmm. Why should we single pick particularly suspect out of the rest of the team which made the approvals right from the beginning to the end? And the last question is to know, this whole process, was the CS been getting what we call tips or at every stage, was he being informed of the whole process from the beginning to the end? Because even himself, whether he lies with technical people, as the first place to allow the process to commence, he must have been convinced that we have serious need and a gap to fill. So if we give the first step, an approval, then it tells you he was part of the process from the beginning to the end. Yeah. And therefore, he was the person to stand to defend the whole team down the stream. But he should not keep watch his people roasted when he's silent.
All right. But Manduku, as you make your final comments, we do have some feedback for you here, and it has something to do with your constituency. At Nyakundi Emmanuel, he says, ask Manduku what is happening in his constituency. He promised people Tamaking of Keroka, Kiamokama Road. And Samson Ondieki, ask Manduku if he can fast track the Ramasha Miriri Tamak, which is always neglected until the campaign moments are here. As you make your final comments.
Well, that is positive feedback from my constituents. I've been Member of Parliament for 3 years. Keroka Ibacho-Kiamokama Road was first promised by the first sitting Member of Parliament, the late James Nyamweya, in 1969. When Nyaribari Masaba and Nyaribari Chache were one large constituency, this road cuts right through. Mm-hmm. Subsequent promises were made by every Member of Parliament, including the last Member of Parliament, But the truth of the matter is, as we sit here today, that road was advertised for tarmacking. And the evaluation process is currently ongoing. We expect the president to come to Kisii, and specifically Nyaribari-Masaba on Tuesday, and update Kenyans or our people on when he's coming to launch that road. So a little patience will prove that the road will soon be tarmacked, because it is currently under evaluation as per the procurement laws.
The other one,
the other road does not concern Nyaribari-Masaba, though it touches Nyaribari-Masaba.
That's Miriri.
It's not on the program.
Ramasha
That road is supposed to be largely on the Transmara side, Kilgoris side. The other road that we have discussed with the president, and he has agreed to help in the coming year, is Nyanturago, Nyamasivi, Ekona Road. Nyaribari-Masaba was very unlucky in the last 20 years that no member of parliament was able to lobby and get a single kilometer of tarmac until Daniel Manduku came. And that person needs to check his facts and check the Kera website and confirm that Keroka Ibacho, Kiamukama Road is currently under evaluation.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much, Daniel Manduku, MP Nyaribari-Masaba. Would you want to add anything about your constituents?
He has enough roads. He has enough roads.
In fact, what I would like to say is that even in the urban, we have still problems with the roads. Let me say that I'm not very bad off, but also I have few which require some touches. And as we consider to do the rest of the country, it's also important to know that Nairobi generates the biggest chunk of the resources. And as a capital city, we require also to be considering Nairobi as a home of everybody and making sure that it is tidy and it's given the room that it deserves to be at the level of the capital city as it should be, to compete with the rest of the capital cities of the world. It's unfortunate to be finding loads of the city, capital city, in Malam or other states. Because that is not the status of the capital city that we should wish to be. So I support that. Let us take what we call development all over and out of the country, or those other regions out of Nairobi. But we should not fail to give the breeds of food to the cow, which generates the biggest amount of milk. So it's important to give it food enough so that it can generate more.
Thank you so much. James Gakuya, MP Embakasi North, and Daniel Manduku, MP Nyaribari-Masaba, our panelists this morning. And also Sabina Shege, nominated MP. Asanteni sana for your time at TV47. Matters Oil, given prominence on the front pages. Been here before, that's a standard, calling for accountability. Uganda link in Kenya's 12 billion fuel import scam. That's the Business Daily. On the Daily Nation, they talk about a fresh twist in the 12 billion shilling bad fuel scandal. The Star goes political, ODM, UDA fallout looming as zoning standoff escalates, and finally about Tanya Kindiki, habari kuu kwenye ukurasa wa mbele wa gazeti la Taifa Leo. Asanteni sana. That has been State of the Nation. After the break, why do so many people stay in abusive situations even when it breaks them? That's the question we are